Good day, everybody. Welcome to our Key Communications webinar from Pacifictech. My name is Linda Eadling. I am the Pacifictech marketing coordinator here. I'm very happy to introduce you to Bill Fligg. He's our sales manager for North America. Over to you, Bill.
Thanks, Linda. Welcome, everyone, to Pacifictech's webinar highlighting our Key Communications module. As Linda said, my name is Bill Fligg, and I'm our North America sales manager. We also have Jamie Steele with us today, and he's our business development manager. Here's a brief agenda for today's webinar. After this introduction segment, we'll move on to the actual presentation and demo with Jamie. From there, I will come back to go over a few other things, and then we will end up with a question session. A little background about our company. Pacifictech is a global software development partner with over 20 years experience and commitment to Sage 300. With a suite of Sage 300 add-on modules, web-based connected services, mobile applications, and global private cloud hosting solutions. Pacifictech extends Sage 300 with Tier 1 capability. We use Sage's software development kit, otherwise known as their SDK, to give our solutions that same look and feel you're familiar with, and our modules reside inside of Sage 300, unlike some of the other Sage solution providers. And that's a differentiating feature that you'll note in today's webinar as well. Pacifictech's procure-to-pay and AP automation solutions take Sage 300 to a new level of functionality and capability, so I encourage you to research those as well at another time. We've won a number of awards for our solutions from Sage over the years, and we're quite proud of that. We've categorized our solutions into 3 groups. We have our workflow suite, which streamlines the process from procurement to payment, as well as providing a paperless document system. We have our control suite that gives visibility and auditing of personnel activity, including restricting certain activity without approvals. And we have our mobility suite, giving you browser and app-based connectivity to your Sage 300 for people that do not need to be logged into the back end for requisitions and approvals. I'm going to hand the screen over to Jamie now so he can walk you through our Key Communications functionality.
Right, very good. Thanks, Bill. And yeah, hi everyone. My name's Jamie Steele. Let's start looking into some of the details around the Key Communications module. So this first slide here, we've got some of the key concepts. So the Key Communications, we refer to it as KC. And so that was been released 10 years ago, and we've got over 100 customers that are using the module. So really what it does is it automates the emailing of documents out of Sage 300, or really adds more functionality to Sage 300. So the next bullet point there is that you can set up multiple contacts for each customer and each vendor. So Sage has obviously released that in one of its latest releases, and which I guess does quite a similar function, but we've sort of had that facility from day one. And then for each contact within KC, you flag which documents that are to be emailed. So certain people can get invoices and other people can get statements, for example. And so that's the sort of setup of the master data. Then the next part is the emailer programs that are provided by KC. And we've got quite a number of these programs. And so on the AR side, you can see them listed there. On AR, we've got invoices and credit notes, statements and receipts. On AP, we've got remittance advices. Under order entry, there's quotes, orders, and invoices and credits. And then POs from the PO module. And so these emailer programs have quite a lot of functionality. One of the key things is that it lets the user see what emails are going to go out before the emails are actually sent. So, we call those pre-processing grids, and, just makes the users, have much better visibility of what's going to happen before it happens. Right, then just onto this next slide. So KC is always used SMTP emailing, so it's all server-based, so it's not using Outlook at all. In terms of the email messages, we've got quite a number of variables that can be put into the email messages, to make sure that the message is sort of personalized to the recipient. You can also, as well as previewing the email, you can also preview the document that will be attached to it. And then another key part of KC is it's got a queue. So you can run it in, for each document, you can run it in two different modes. One of them is where it just sends the document straight out, but the other option is to put it into a queue. And so that's just provides another, well, there's a few benefits of the queue, but one of them is it adds in another stage where the emails can be reviewed. It's also can let companies sort of send the emails out at a certain time of the day or during the evening if they want to do that as well. Right, and then another key part of KC is the document log. So it keeps a log of all the emails that were sent out and the attachments that were sent out. And so this is all kept within Sage 300. So, it's very easy for people to look up to see when the documents were sent out. Another key point, so the emails can be in HTML format, so they can look, have all the company logos and the nice fonts and that sort of thing. And then another part of it is we've got the facility to use custom forms. And so probably one of the most common examples there is for Service Manager. So we've got a number of customers that use Service Manager and they want to email out their invoices from Service Manager. So we can use this emailer that we've got developed, in this case for Service Manager, and so that presents a list of invoices. They can be emailed out. So Service Manager emails, Service Manager invoices, they can be emailed out and recorded in the document log. Okay, so that's really just the key concepts. So let's go and have a look at the software now. So here we are within our Sage 300 system. You can see the main area for setting up Key Communications is under the Common Services folder. So we've got a folder in here called Key Communications. If we just come through some of these screens quickly, the options one really just holds the emailing, the mail server information. This next screen here, document processing, is the key part for how KC is set up. So here we've got the different types of documents that we have set up within our KC system here. So you can see AR invoices, AR statements, OE order confirmations, etc. So if we look at each of or one of these and go along through the columns, you can see the from email address. So this is who the email is coming from, and also the reply to email address. And so you can have different from addresses for each of your different document types. And then here we can specify the file name of the attachment. So here you can see $doc_num. So what that means is the system will, for each invoice, it'll give the PDF will be, the name of the PDF will be something like IN00000123. So yeah, a lot of customers say to us that's a critical feature, because I think with standard Sage, the invoices just go out with the name of the crystal form, which is not very user friendly for the recipient. Okay, then the next column is whether we're going to use the queue for this document type. And so that's either a yes or a no. The default action, we don't really use that too much, so we'll just skip over that. Store the printed documents. I think in pretty much most cases clients have that turned on. And so what that means is keep a record of the attachment as it was when it was sent out. So, if someone sends out some invoices yesterday, then if someone changes the crystal report today, that doesn't affect what's kept. What the system does is keeps the PDF at the time exactly as it was sent out. And then there's a few other fields here that are just used for special functions, so we might come back to those later on. This next one is the email messages. So this is pretty straightforward. For Sage 300 business partners, you'll be familiar with this. So it's just where you can configure the email message. And we've got a button down here, insert variable. So this shows up all the different variables that are available to put into the email messages. And you can see here we've got the format of plain text or HTML. Again, the HTML can really make the emails look very professional. Then custom document types. Here, this is, again, just coming back to, so this is for setting up, if you want to send out other documents other than the ones that we've got set up with our emailers within KC, then you can come and configure them in the screen here. All right, so that's the main configuration of Key Communications, so it's pretty straightforward. So the next part is the multiple contacts. So now let's come and look under AR customers. You can see customer contacts here. So if we open that up, and if we come to a certain customer, 1210, so you can see here we've got our 3 contacts. So we've got Jason, Morris, and another one called Statements. So if we open up Jason, we can record some extra information here, like position and phone numbers. But really, one of the key points is under this one here, document delivery methods. This is where we can flag which documents are to be sent to this contact. So here, Jason is receiving the AR invoices. If we go and look at Morris, then Morris is getting the AR invoices and the AR statements. And then the statements mailbox is getting just the statements. Right, so that's really the setting up of the contacts. So that's under customer 1210. All right, so that's sort of the master data. So then the next step in the process is the emailing of the documents. So, sorry, let's just hop over to accounts payable. So what we've got under the AR module, the same functionality is set up under the AP module. So you can see here under AP vendors, we've got our vendor contacts. So now let's look at doing some of the emailing. So if we come to AR transaction reports, you can see here we've got the AR invoice emailer and the AR receipt emailer. And so if we just look at some of the other ones, we've got under customer reports, we've got that statement emailer. Under accounts payable, transaction reports, there's our AP remittance emailer. Under order entry forms, we've got the 3 emailers there. And then under purchase orders forms, our PO emailer. So those are all the email programs that are provided as part of Key Communications. So let's come and look at our AR invoice emailer. So we come into transaction reports, invoice emailer, and so what we can do first of all is select a batch, and then we can restrict it further within that batch by the customer name or just by a certain customer ID or range of customer names or customer IDs. Then here we've got our email message that we want to use for these emails, and then our report names, which is our crystal report name. So once we've selected that information, we can generate the list. This is quite a small batch, so it's actually only got 1 invoice in it. So you can see, so what the system has done there is found all the invoices in that batch and then gone and looked up each of those customers to find out the contacts and to determine who those invoices should be sent to. So here, like we saw before, we can send, it will send an invoice to Jason and an invoice to Morris. So if we want to, so you can see in the left-hand column here, we've got this send yes or no. So you can just toggle those on and off if you want to just send them to certain people. Then we've got these buttons down here, deselect all, so it sets them all to no, and then you can toggle some to yes, or select all, sets them all to yes. So this shows us all the emails that are going to be sent out. So, you know, this lets the user just check to see whether that list looks correct or not. And then the other function that the users can do is they can preview this to see what the email is going to be. Oh, sorry, this is just showing the PDF itself, that's right. Yeah. All right, so then if we're happy with that, then we can click on the print send, and then that will run through and generate the emails for each of these emails to be sent out. So you can see in this column here called processing status, it shows what has happened here. So in this case, these have been put into the queue. Right, so to access the queue, we can, actually let's just come over and let's run an AR statement as well. So we come into the AR statement, emailer, we choose the statement run that we want to be sending out. We've only got one in here. We've got all the same fields here. Although what we can do with statements is we can send another attachment. So as well as the statement, the system can also pick up a second PDF. So the idea there is that if that's a message to go out to, you know, all customers, then in terms of just a fixed PDF, then that can be attached there. All right, so in terms of the statement run, you can see it's generated all, it's going to send emails. Well, actually, so yeah, another point here, it can also work with printing as well. So you can see all these ones here are set to printing. So, you know, it can have a mixture of emailing and printing. So I'll just go deselect all and just set those two. And so here it's Morris is getting the statement and the statement mailbox. Okay, so those are both in the queue as well. So to look at the email queue, that's sitting under the Key Communications menu. So this last icon here. So we can see the 4 emails that are sitting here waiting to be reviewed and to be sent out. So here, now you can filter this as well. So we could just look at AR invoices, and that shows those 2 there. And if we click on the details button, yeah, this will actually show us the whole email that's going to be sent out. So the content of the email and the PDF. Right, so we can now send those 2. And then if we come back, change our filter to all, it will now just show the 2 statements because we've sent the 2 invoices. And so we can send those out. Right, so then if we hit the go button, so there's now nothing sitting in the queue. Right, so let's come and look at our emails now to just see what those look like. just hop over to the email system. So here are the emails that we've just sent out this morning. So here are the two invoice ones. So if we open one of those up, oh, that's first of all, if we can see who it's come from. So that was the email address that we configured.
Sorry, Jamie, can't see that screen.
Oh. Right, is
Better,
that
thank
better?
you.
Right, okay, cool. Sorry about that. Yeah. So here are the invoice emails, so we can see who they've come from. So that's the way we configured it. So here, if we open up the invoice, or sorry, this email, so yeah, it's just the standard sort of email message here with the different variables. But you can see here the attachments, the actual invoice number. So quite a lot of zeros on there. We probably want to reduce that a little bit. And so there's the invoice that was sent out. All right, so that's the two invoices. And then for the statements, same sort of thing there. So, oh, and what a lot of customers do with the statements, they'll actually have, your statement as at the cut-off date, which is the 31st of July. All right, so that's those emails. Okay, so yeah, so that's the sending out of the emails, and so we put them into the queue, and then we release them from the queue, and they were then sent out after that. So the next part of the process is the looking up the transactions from the document log. So if we come under our AR customers, you can see here we've got a icon on the end there. So this one here is our customer contacts. This next one is the document log. And so this is really keeps a record of, all the emails that have been sent out to this customer. And so here we can look up customer 1210, and so we can see all the invoices that have been sent out. So here are our ones that we've done today. So you can see here we've got the invoice on 10th of June. So that was sent to, I think if we click on the details, we can see, that's right, so who it's gone to. So that's right, it's all going to test email address. So again, showing us the who it's gone to and the from, the whole subject, the body of the email, and what the PDF was at the time that it was sent out. And the other thing we can do is look at this tab here, the email log, and this shows us sort of the date and the time of the two events. So when it was put into the queue, the 10th of June at 8:20, and then when it was actually sent out of the queue. All right, so that shows the two invoices that were sent out, and then here are the two statements that were sent out as well. So yeah, we can click on details to look at the details of the email, or otherwise we can just view the document. Right, and then one facility that's quite useful within here, this is often used by the customer staff when, they're following up their debtors, and so that, I think we're all pretty experienced with the comment of, that the person at the other end didn't receive the invoice in the email. So we've got this option down here called resend. So we can click on that, and that will just send that out, or puts it into the queue in this case. Right, so that resend facility is quite a useful one. And something we've also just added recently, I don't have the latest update on here, but is the ability to forward an email as well. So that's what happens when you click on the forward button, then it just pops up a list of contacts for that customer. So you can then forward that email through to another contact at that customer. All right, so I think those are the key points in terms of the document log. All right, and so then under vendors, so like we've touched on previously, we've got our vendor contacts. So here's 1200. So really, it's all the same sort of concepts apply. So we can come into our PO forms, our purchase order emailer. Actually, yeah, one facility that's quite useful is this auto select. So what that can let you to do, the system actually keeps a track of which documents have been sent out, by KC, and so this facility, you can just come in and click on auto select unprocessed, and that will then just populate the grid with all the forms that still need to be sent out. And so that also works well with, we've got an EXE that can be run as a scheduled task. So what a number of customers do, just they'll have this process running once per day where it'll just go through and send out all of the forms that haven't been sent out yet. So that really allows it to be set up as an automated process. And I think we're sort of finding more and more of that with the Sage 300 customers of, they just want to have, these processes running where they're not reliant on users doing certain activities. All right, so that's the PO side of things, and then remittance advices as well. So those are, another part of the solution, sending out the remittances. All right, so I think those are all the key parts of the system. So now if we go back to our PowerPoint, I guess just for business partners, I think it's always really good to just download this solution and, try it out for yourselves. It's pretty straightforward to get up and running. Right, yeah, so just to recap on some of the benefits of Key Communications, so yeah, first of all, it's very easy to see what has been sent out to customers or vendors, and it's all sitting within Sage 300, so the staff don't have to go into any other application. Yeah, just sort of for the Sage 300 customer, for them to be able to keep their customers happy by, being able to send documents to a number of different people at their customer. Yeah, the HTML emailing, that's, really lets people or customers send out very professional emails. Having the visibility of what will happen before it happens. So we've heard quite a few examples where, I think with Sage 300, like you go to do your statement run and it will email them out and it will print preview the ones that are printed, and then it says, are you happy with the statements? But I think it's already emailed them out. So we've heard of quite a number of cases, where emails have been sent out when customers didn't want them sent out, or another one where there's 3 lots of statements were emailed out. So yeah, a real key part of Key Communications is giving the users the visibility of what will happen before it happens. And yeah, so this last one, less surprises equals less stress, which equals higher job satisfaction. So we've had quite a lot of feedback from customers, just, they find the Key Communications module, they feel very much in control, and, just does a really good job and takes an element of sort of uncertainty or stress out of their role. Right, and then just in terms of some of the differentiators, all the data is sitting inside Sage 300, so we've touched on that a few times already. And again, because all the configurations inside Sage 300 are for Sage 300 business partners and customers, it's very easy to learn and be able to support it yourselves. Now, I guess one key point, so in North America, most Sage 300 customers have the Print Boss solution, and we've heard a lot of really good comments about Print Boss. I don't think we've ever heard a bad comment about them. So it's a very good solution and very good support. We know a little bit about Print Boss, but we're not experts on it. But so yeah, I think Print Boss obviously does a number of functions really well. We sort of think the Key Communications provides a few advantages. So just first of all, being able to preview the email that's going out, and then having the document log. I'm not quite sure what Print Boss does on the document log side of things. And then just also the ability to resend and forward emails from the customer document log. So yeah, that's I guess those differentiators there. All right, so I think that's probably about all from my side. So Bill, are you able to?
Sure, thanks, Jamie.
Take it?
I'm just going to give everybody a quick overview of some of our modules and connected services. I won't spend a lot of time on it. I'm sure most of you know quite a few of these. Just a number of them listed on this screen here. We have advanced stock take, which expands your ability to do physical inventory, gives you multiple worksheets, gives you the ability to go back to an actual month end without having to do the math. It figures everything out for you. We have audit logger, which some people call Big Brother. It can keep track of different user actions in the system. So you want to know who might have posted something, who changed something, that sort of thing. We have commitment accounting, which gives you advanced fiscal management reporting in your budgetary position. Funds availability is actually a really handy tool to have, and it is used quite a bit in our procure to pay solution, and it gives you real-time budget checking for cost centers, and before people are requisitioning POs and or before you approve them, you have the ability to see whether or not you're on budget. Internal issues gives you the ability to manage internal inventory movements. So you're buying things, you're storing them in inventory, and when you're releasing them, you want to have better management control over how that's happening internally. And your key communications we've just seen now. We also have our procure to pay group of products and our AP automation. And so these touch on that. We have our payables workflow, which is part of our AP automation, and it allows you to work your invoices from your vendors through approval workflows. We have the purchasing workflow, which similarly allows you to have control, but more on the requisition side before you actually do your purchasing. We have PW Web, which is our web connection to these workflows and allows users to see requests, to make requests, web requisitions, approvals, and approve be it requisitions or payables, all from a browser. And that way they're not required to actually be in the back end in Sage 300. So it saves quite a bit on LAN packs. You can have up to 50 people on one LAN pack with that. And then we also have our Pacifictech Go app, which works on mobile phones, similar functionality. From there, we have vendor catalogs, which works inside of the whole procurement concept where you have control of vendor relationships, set pricing, maybe expiry dates on certain deals. And when people are doing purchasing, then they can work from a controlled buying group of vendors. Your workflow documents is what makes our procure to pay paperless and eliminates the need for filing cabinets on that level, because when you're doing a requisition for a purchase order, you can attach the quotations and relevant documents that even can be reviewed in PW Web. And they are also part of our payables workflow where the invoices actually get attached. And all of that actually is part of our, so your payables workflow and your workflow documents are also a big chunk of our AP automation, where you can push those invoices through our document processing service, and it's it's AI at an advanced level. You're going to see the data coming back within about 5 minutes. So it's a really slick process. And in all of that, we also have our workflow notifications, which gives you controls over other things like creating check batches, approvals on processing checks. Similar to today, you may be authorized invoice of a payment, but or authorized an invoice itself. But when you're actually processing checks, they might go to a CFO or somebody else, and they can see all the documentation, and then they sign off on the check. Well, workflow notifications can do that give you that type of control, where whoever's responsible to sign off on payments has the ability to review documents and then approve it. It also gives you control over other things similar, such as vendor master files. And if you don't want to have people changing certain things in fields like vendor bank accounts, then you can put a control on that if somebody tries to change a vendor bank account, it has to be authorized by somebody else of higher authority. And this is a fraud that's well known globally, and this stops that sort of thing. So these are some of the end users that we have around North America that work with our various modules and connected services, and we're quite proud to have these end users that are happy with our products. Names such as Atlantic Gold, Space Center Houston, Red Path Mining, Mattawa First Nations, Fort McKay, Dallas Sioux. This is something that we hope will be able to bring some of your end users to our portfolio at some point. I'm your North America sales manager, here to take care of your needs and help you be successful with our products. So if you need more information, you need recordings like this one here, you would like demos scheduled to assist you with presenting our solutions to your end users, feel free, email me, call me anytime.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thanks for your
Yeah,
time
thank you.
attending our webinar. Hopefully we'll see you in the next round. Take care.